Welcome in, everyone, to Lively Lewis Stories.
That's right, we're back with even more awesome adventures with Levi and Ivy.
Set your storytime meter to fun and get ready to join the Lively Lewis crew.
All you need is your imagination and...
Off we go! I can't wait to see where our story takes us today.
Have you ever wanted to get more Lively Lewis in your life?
Well, we've got you covered.
Grab an adult and zoom over to livelylewisshop.com.
Or just click on the link in our show notes.
Enough about that. Let's get to today's super Lively Lewis story.
Pine trees dotted the hills beside a long dirt road as Levi and Ivy got closer and closer to Rapid Falls summer camp. They could hardly believe that after years of asking their parents if they could go, the big day had finally arrived. They were leaving their familiar neighborhood and town behind to spend an amazing week rafting down some of the most beautiful rivers they had ever seen. Well, at least they looked pretty beautiful from the pictures they had seen online. You see, Levi and Ivy had never actually been rafting before. Their excitement over river rafting began years earlier when their grandparents had gone on a rafting trip and showed Levi and Ivy pictures and videos from their adventure. From that moment on, Levi and Ivy could only imagine what it would be like to have their own adventure navigating the rapids on a fast-moving river. On days when it would rain, Levi and Ivy could be seen outside in their backyard, sitting in the little inflatable raft that their grandparents had brought them back from their trip as a souvenir. They navigated fake rapids as they imagined that the drops of rain were water being turned up and splashed around as they zoomed down a Class 4 river. "I can't believe it, Levi! We're almost there!" exclaimed Ivy as she saw the welcome sign for Rapid Falls Summer Camp approaching. "I can't wait to get in our raft and set off for an adventure." "I know! It feels like we've been waiting for this moment forever," replied Levi as he craned his neck to look out the window. "I see it! I can see the start of the rapids course!" Levi and Ivy both stared out the window, peering through pine trees to catch a glimpse of the river that they would be rafting on for their very first time. "Well, it looks like we're here," said Levi and Ivy's mom, sounding a bit nervous. "River rafting camp for a whole week. Just my two little babies speeding down some giant, unforgiving river trying to stay afloat with only a paddle to save them." "Wow, that sounds pretty dramatic," said Levi and Ivy's dad to their mom. "I guess I have to remind you that this is a camp for kids and is very highly regarded as having the best safety procedures and a 5-star camp leader. Remember, that's why we agreed to let Levi and Ivy go here?" "Yes, I remember," said Levi and Ivy's mom. "But that was so long ago, and now we're actually here, and that river looks bigger than it did on the website. Don't you think it looks bigger, Ivy?" "I think it looks amazing," replied Ivy, not really too focused on what her mom was saying. "I actually wish it was bigger," added Levi, "with more rapids and more waterfalls and more everything." Levi and Ivy's dad had barely stopped the car before his kids took off their seatbelts and asked to hop out. "Sure, get to it," said Levi and Ivy's dad, so happy to see how excited his kids were. Levi and Ivy raced out of the car and toward the Rapid Falls Summer Camp Welcome Center. They were joined by a bunch of other campers who were just arriving as well. "We made the right decision, right?" asked Levi and Ivy's mom as she watched her kids playing in the display raft that was set out in front of the Welcome Center. "Of course we did. Look at how excited they are," said Levi and Ivy's dad reassuringly. "I bet they come home with the most amazing stories from this week. You have nothing to worry about." Levi and Ivy's parents got their kids' bags out of the car and walked them up to the Welcome Center just as a few of the camp leaders were making their way outside. They were all ready to welcome the excited campers to a great week at rafting camp. "Hello, everyone. I'm Camp Leader Max, and I'd like to welcome you to Rapid Falls Summer Camp, the best river rafting summer camp in the world," said Camp Leader Max. The group of campers applauded and cheered. Once the crowd quieted down, Max explained that he and the rest of the camp leaders would be calling out the names of the campers that would be in their groups for the week. Once you hear your name, you are supposed to line up behind your camp leader, say goodbye to your parents, and get ready for the best week of summer vacation ever. "Levi and Ivy, you're in my group," called out Max with a big smile on his face. "Grab your gear, line up right here, and don't forget to say, 'See you next week,' to those two people looking a little teary-eyed by that big pine tree over there." Of course, Max was pointing to Levi and Ivy's parents. Even their dad was looking a bit sad to leave at that moment. Their mom, on the other hand, took the last few minutes she had before leaving for the week to tell her kids all her rules for camp one last time. Now remember, always stay together, wear your life vest when you're rafting, don't eat junk food all week, and, said their mom before Ivy interrupted her, have fun? Ivy said with a smile as she gave her mom a big hug. We will, Mom. Don't worry, added Levi as he joined in the hug and pulled his dad in too. We're going to be just fine. We'll miss you and we'll see you in no time at all. We love you too, said Levi and Ivy's dad as he waved to his kids while they followed Max to their cabin. See you in a week. Levi and Ivy smiled and waved reassuringly to their parents. Then they set off toward the adventure of a lifetime. They just didn't know it yet. As the sun rose on the first day of rafting camp, Levi and Ivy were the first campers awake. They hopped out of their bunks and met camp leader Max and the rest of their camp crew outside. I can't wait to get out on a raft today, said Ivy loud enough for Max to hear. Wow, that's some great enthusiasm, said Max to Ivy. But today will all be about rafting safety and learning about the river. Oh, okay, said Ivy, sounding a little disappointed. Levi looked confused, also thinking that they would be rafting on the first day. Hey kiddos, don't look so down, started Max. We'll have a lot of time for river rafting and you'll be out on the rapids in no time. But safety is always first here at Rapid Fall Summer Camp. Nothing stops the fun at camp faster than someone getting hurt while rafting. You're right, Max, said Levi and Ivy. They changed their attitude and totally agreed that safety was the way to go. They listened to everything Max had to say, answered every question he threw at the group, and volunteered for every scenario he wanted to demonstrate. You always want to make sure you're rafting with a guide, someone who knows all about rafting and someone who knows the area you'll be rafting in, Max began. You also always want to wear a life vest and never raft without a buddy. Max went on to tell all the kids in his group about wearing the proper protective gear too, like a helmet and the right outerwear like a wetsuit, splash jacket, and proper river shoes. Things like wearing sunscreen and sunglasses were on the top of his list too. He focused on common sense things too, like holding the paddle properly so it doesn't get pulled out of your hands and always staying in your raft. It's called river rafting, not river swimming, laughed Max. Those are two totally different river activities that are done in two totally different parts of the river. He also made sure to stress that the kids in his group should know proper swimming techniques if for some reason they do find themselves in the water. But the biggest thing Max stressed was never panic in a high-stress situation. No matter what, I've got your back when we're out there on the rapids, said Max, looking out at all the kids in the group. Just remember what we learned here today. Work as a team, encourage each other, and you'll be all good to go. And the next day, Levi and Ivy got their wish. After waiting for what felt like forever, they found themselves walking down toward the rapids with Max and the rest of their group. As they did, Levi and Ivy were excited, thinking about maybe competing at the end of the week's river rafting race. And it was clear who the team to beat was. The Swift Current crew. They were a team of campers who had been rafting together for the last couple of years, and they were very good. But how did Levi and Ivy and the rest of the camp know they were so good? Well, the Swift Current crew told everyone how good they were every chance they got. Oh man, I hope we get the chance to race against them, said Levi to Ivy. Maybe we could finally get them to stop bragging so much if we beat them. Remember, Levi, rafting isn't about winning or losing. It's about enjoying the natural world and working together as a team and overcoming obstacles, said Ivy before taking a little pause. And maybe it's a little bit about beating the Swift Current crew in a race. Levi and Ivy both giggled a bit as they geared up and jumped on their raft. Max was leading the team as they set off that day down a rather calm and mild part of the rapids. Levi and Ivy took in every little thing as they floated down the river. Every sight, sound, smell, and movement in the water felt new and amazing. They tried to remember everything Max had taught them from the day before, wanting to impress them and hoping that they could get good enough to compete in the same level with the Swift Current crew at the end of the week. As the day went on, Max broke his group up into teams. Levi and Ivy, of course, were paired up together, and they were eager to show off their skills. Great job, Levi and Ivy, called out Max from his raft as he floated along with his group. Everyone is doing great, and since we're at the point in the rapids that opens up into this calm, shallow pool, everyone can have a little while to paddle around and explore before we head in and get ready for dinner. Levi and Ivy loved to explore and immediately looked around to see what they could see. And what they saw was a lot of splashing coming from the far side of the pool area where they were floating. I think the splashing is coming from behind all that tall grass on the bank, said Levi as he started to paddle toward the commotion in the water. He and Ivy maneuvered their raft toward the tall grass. They finally saw what was doing all the splashing. It was a little river otter that had gotten itself tangled in some vines that were growing on the bank of the river. "Don't worry, little one, we can help you," said Ivy as she tried to calm the little otter. Levi steered the raft a bit closer, and finally Ivy was close enough to see what was going on. "I don't want to scare the otter, and I know I shouldn't touch wildlife. So how are we going to help it?" asked Ivy. "We could tell Max," suggested Levi. "Or you could just reach out and grab that vine right here. If you shake it, I think I can slip my leg out of it," said a little voice. "Did you hear that?" asked Levi, looking at Ivy, seeing that she had already found where the voice was coming from. "It's the little otter. It's talking?" replied Ivy, jumping back in the raft. "Don't be scared," said the otter. "My name is Luna, and I've lived here at the Rapid Fall Summer Camp for years. I always get caught up in these vines, and I know how to get out. I just can't do it by myself." Levi and Ivy weren't scared at all. They were totally amazed. After all, it's not every day you meet a talking otter. So Ivy reached out, grabbed a hold of the vine, and gave it a little shake. And that was all Luna needed to wiggle free. "Thank you so much," said Luna, swimming over to Levi and Ivy's raft. "I've been watching you two on the river, and your talent shows. How long have you been rafting?" Levi and Ivy explained to Luna that this was their first day, but that they had been interested in rafting for years. "Wow, I've seen a lot of kids raft down this river, and I'd say you're some of the best I'd ever seen," said Luna. "Maybe even as good as the Swift Current crew." "That's a big compliment," said Levi. "Thank you." "We've heard lots of good things about them," added Ivy, "and we're hoping as the week goes on, we can work super hard on our rafting skills and get the chance to beat them in the big race at the end of camp." "I'd say you have a really good chance," said Luna. As much as Levi and Ivy wanted to talk more with Luna, they heard Max calling their group back together so they could return to camp for dinner. They just have to finish talking to Luna another day. "Maybe we'll see you around?" asked Levi. "You can count on it," answered Luna. "If you're on the river tomorrow, I'll be sure to keep a lookout for you too." "Bye, Luna," called out Ivy as she and Levi watched the little otter disappear into the water. Hey friends, that is the end of part 1, and part 2 is coming soon. Thanks for joining us today. We hope you enjoyed the story and learned a little something too.
And since we know everyone has their own story, we'd love to hear yours.
If you have an idea for a Lively Lewis story, leave a comment on our Apple Podcast review page with 5 stars, your idea, and your little one's name.
Then maybe our next adventure will be with you.
Until our next Storytime Hangout.
Thanks for listening. We can't wait to share another fun Lively Lewis story with you.